Stranger now are his eyes to this mystery. In the silence alone. Cracking dawn, all is gone. Tell the will to be. Now they see you, babe. But I just say it.
Shut up, bitch.
Don't tell me what to do. All right. So now, welcome everyone. We are in round 4 of the Fade to Bracket. We made a lot of tough picks, lost a lot of really good songs between the last round and now.
And probably some friends.
Yep, and fans. So now let's continue that trend and lose basically everyone with where we select our final 4. All right, to do a round 3 recap, our first matchup of the last round was Enter Sandman versus Blackened. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We chose Blackened. Our next matchup.
Well, on the official, okay, so I'm not going to say there's anything shady going on, but on the official bracket, Sandman got 48% of the vote, and Blackened got 52% of the vote, and yet they claim that Sandman won. Now, what I think is going on is that they're doing it separately on Facebook and Instagram. And so it's Instagram stories where they're tallying votes and Facebook polls where they're tallying votes. So on the so all of my numbers have been from the Facebook polls, and on Facebook, Blackened won, but I guess Sandman won, but there's no way to check because I wasn't watching it closely the day it happened. So on my little notes here, I have Sandman with double stars because I had to overwrite the actual winner, at least from the Facebook poll. So I
Interesting.
You know, so maybe they didn't want Sandman to drop off in the third round.
That's not fair.
Yeah, or that many people on Instagram
Picked Sandman.
like enough to overcome the difference on Facebook.
Interesting.
I have no way to know.
So next matchup was Seek and Destroy versus Unforgiven, and we needed a tiebreaker, and we picked the Unforgiven.
So the official bracket, Seek and Destroy won by 6%.
Still pretty close. Probably anything within 10% could be considered pretty close, right?
Yeah, so it was 56 to 44. So yeah, so our bracket at this point is pretty different than the official one, which I was pretty convinced that round 4 would be identical except for Sandman, but it's not.
And after that, we did One versus Sanitarium. That was honestly the biggest shock for me in that round. It was a 3-1 split, and we went Sanitarium.
Yep, and on the official bracket, One won like it should have.
By how much?
71% to 29. So all of you are wrong.
Next matchup was For Whom the Bell Tolls. That also required a tiebreaker, and For Whom the Bell Tolls came out on top.
So the official one, Bells won, but it was against Battery and not Orion.
Mm.
And that kind of surprised me that Bells still won over Battery.
Yeah, that's kind
I
of
feel like I would pick Battery in that matchup.
It's interesting. Next matchup was Nothing Else Matters versus Harvester's Sorrow. We picked Nothing Else Matters. After that, we did Fade to Black versus Creeping Death, also requiring a tiebreaker, despite the name of the band, Fade to Black. And Fade to Black won out on top. What did the people say, Tim?
For both Nothing and Fade, those won the official, and it was also pretty close. Fade to Black beat Creeping Death more than I expected. It was 62-38.
Okay.
I thought that one would be a lot closer.
Interesting.
There's a trend showing in the official polling on Facebook, but I'll wait until we get through the recap to point out what I think that trend is. See if you guys agree.
Next matchup was Master Puppets versus Ride the Lightning. That was the second unanimous pick of that round. We all went for Master. Surprise, surprise.
Yep, and Puppets destroyed Ride the Lightning in the official.
What was the Puppets?
82.
Yeah. And then finally, the last tiebreaker was Sad But True versus No Leaf Clover, and I think that was the biggest shock. Probably not as much as the one losing to Sanitarium, but No Leaf Clover won that round.
So No Leaf Clover lost in the first round of the original of the Metallica's bracket, and here we are. I would not have guessed it would have been in round 4. Like, that's ridiculous. But it won't be in round 5. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to assume.
Right.
Zach, what was your
So it sounds like, looking at the trends and, after the first few songs where I heard the trend line, I started thinking of the songs against each other and what are some of the similarities. And it was a very generalized statement and easily arguable, but it seems like the trend line leans towards the songs that are a little more melodic, a little less intense compared to what's against it in the matchup.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Interesting thought, yeah.
First I was thinking maybe it was age, Black Album versus, the Puppets album. There's not so much a significant year gap, but where Metallica broke out into mainstream viewership, specifically with the Black Album. But then I was just listening to the song choices. You've got your ballads versus, the in-your-face material. So it just seems that's kind of where that trend line is.
That appears to be true a lot of the time. Yeah, so I think generally you're correct. There are some times when that is not correct.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's generally accurate. But how much do you want to trust those with their Sandman shenanigans?
Our first pick of the night is Blackened versus The Unforgiven.
Blackened.
Blackened.
There we go. That was easy.
Yeah.
That's basically how I filled out this bracket when I took it all the way the first round. Like, I just wrote Blackened, and I just didn't even think about it. So I'm not doing any more this time either.
Before we go any further, I just want to point out that we have, in this round currently, we have 2 songs off of Ride the Lightning, 2 songs off of Master. We have Blackened, which we just talked about, 2 off of the Black Album, and then we jump all the way to 1999 with S&M. So that's the spread of our songs. All right, guys. Now we're moving on to the second match up of round 4, Sanitarium versus For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay, so I'm going to use comments that Greg and Tim used in the last round. I quit. I don't want to play anymore. I don't like this. It's unfair. Fuck.
I think
last round.
Guys.
Yeah, last round I emphasized a lot of my personal emotional connections to songs, and in some of this round I still will, because I can't override it. But to not play a show, to not hear a show, a real Metallica show without bells, I feel would be sacrilegious. So I'm going to have to go with bells on this.
It's like the Monty Python the Castle. I know what my choice is here. That doesn't make me any less angry that I have to make it. I think I've said all I need to say in previous rounds about Bells, as far as it being kind of a necessary Metallica song, and one that's definitely, I mean, it's clearly more quintessential to any given live set by them. But I don't know, the highs in Sanitarium are just higher for me, and it's I've never really talked about any of these songs and their quality as far as which is more fun to play live. This doesn't seem like it should be a factor, but Bells isn't exactly the type of song I'd call fun to play live. It's kind of a couple of chords and then off to the next song. So if I were to rate them, it would, with that kind of criteria, it would be easy. But Sanitarium's got some of the best moments on my favorite Metallica albums. So the choice is relatively easy for me. But again, we're down to we're basically eliminating most of a Metallica set at this point. So
right.
They're a good choice, but my vote goes Sanitarium.
So I want to, I don't know, this one is hard to decide, and I have my answer, but I don't want it to appear that I came to it quickly, but what I had to do was I thought of the journey these two songs take you on, and I think you know where this is going. Musically and lyrically, I think Sanitarium takes you on a better journey than For Whom the Bell Tolls does. I thought about, the first note of Bells. You know what's about to happen, unless it's that Emperor song or that AC/DC song. Sanitarium, if you have listened to as much Metallica as we have, you hear that first note, you know what's about to happen. So I don't think you can really make that comparison if you're so much into Metallica. Maybe if you're a casual fan, you wouldn't have that reaction. But I'm going to go with Sanitarium because of the journey. So
I hate to make this choice as well, but I'm thinking of looking at the song as a whole. I think Sanitarium is so well written and so well produced. I think of the clean parts in that song. They're just so tasty. I can't think of a better word. And when I first got my Snakebite guitar, when I, flipped the pickup to the neck pickup, I rarely ever do that, but when I'm practicing here, I like to do that, and it emulates that tone perfectly. And it's just, there's something so magical about that clean, simple rhythm. Both songs have relatively simple rhythms, but there's just something special about Sanitarium. I got to pick Sanitarium.
Had it gone to a tiebreaker, it would have been Sanitarium.
I don't know where I went. Yeah, exactly.
Right there.
Next matchup, Nothing Else Matters versus Fade to Black.
Damn it!
Gonna be fun.
All right, I'm gonna apply the same logic to Nothing Else Matters and Fade to Black. I feel like Fade to Black takes you on a better journey musically and lyrically. So I'm gonna have to go with Fade to Black. It's not an easy decision. Both songs are amazing to play live. I need a thesaurus because I think I've said amazing and iconic for almost every other matchup, but it's really hard to decide which song is more of a transcendent experience for me on stage or just to listen to.
Right.
I do have to go with Fade to Black. I think the journey is more substantial.
My answer is also Fade to Black. I know, like I said, I think it was just in that previous matchup, I said something about how I don't really frame the quality of any of these songs in terms of what it's like to play them live. But there are definitely certain points in the live set that you kind of always remember when you feel like the crowd's just like, oh shit, here we go. And the beginning of Fade to Black is definitely like one of those top standout moments when those first notes ring out. That alone, and also the fact it's a pretty damn good song. I just realized that this song made it further than one, which I was not expecting at all.
Same.
But there you go. And almost to that end, I feel like I have to, take this one to the Stanley Cup as far as I can. I've said a lot in the past about Nothing Else Matters. It has a very similar function to Fade as far as kind of being one of those critical moments in, a Metallica live set. But Fade's just a little bit more essential to me. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Fade to Black as well. Tim, I really liked how you pointed out about a journey. When I think of the history of the band with this song, I mentioned this previously. James got all burned up with this song. This was the last song that Metallica played live with Jason Newsted.
I didn't know that.
Looking at the history of Metallica, it's just such an integral part of that history. Not that Nothing Else Matters isn't. Not that Nothing Else Matters doesn't give you equally amazing feelings when hearing it or playing it. But overall, I got to go with Fade to Black.
I actually have nothing more that I can add than what hasn't already been said. So Fade to Black for me.
Unanimous. All right. This one's going to be an easy pick. I think. Don't want to advertise. Don't want to get too excited. But Master of Puppets versus No Leaf Clover Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets.
Say No Leaf Clover, Greg.
Greg, what do you think?
Hang on, I need a minute. Thinking. Puppets, I guess.
All right, and that will conclude the final 8 of Fade to Bracket.